Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show, and we have a great show for you tonight. Actually, we were just talking to Andrea backstage, I guess you could call it, and I think we just did a whole show ourselves. So we're going to do second show now. So anyways, we have a great show. Andrea, now I got to get her name right because apparently I was getting it wrong before, and she decides today, 10 minutes ago, to tell me I was getting it wrong, and everybody knows that I have such a trouble with names, so it's... what is it, Andrea? Andrea Ramolo. Ramolo. Oh yeah, ramble on. So think of Led Zeppelin. So next time you're trying to pick one more strike, and it will be Andrea's show, and I'm sure she.
And you're taking over tonight. Yeah.
So I could tell you all the things she's done for her bio, but I can tell you right now, if I did, the show would be an hour long, just me doing that. So we're gonna get through the news, and we're gonna bring Andrea along, and we're gonna run through her whole bio. This girl has done everything. She's got a couple of albums out. She's plays in Scarlet Jane, which I just found out about a week ago, which I didn't know, and I couldn't believe it when I found that out. I go, this too? She Italian cook or chef, whatever you want to call it, Italian cuisine. She does that. She is an actress. I guess if you did it once, you're still an actress. So she does acting. I think a horror movie. We can even talk about it. So we've got so much going on. It's insane. So I can guarantee you're going to love the show. But first, let's do some news. Ghost hunters probing potty mouth ghoul at site of historical murder. Was that? But that ghost didn't swear.
I heard something.
Dead Woman's Ditch, which is named after the murder of Jane Walford by her husband John in 1789. Of course, they're really old, these ghosts. Anyways, reported she's a foul-mouthed ghost. If that means you're coming back as a ghost, I guarantee you I'll be back. I will be back for sure. Speaking of foul mouth, man's complaint over, I don't know what that C word is. Now I know we're a comedy course in chaos and the C-section, so maybe it relates to us. I don't know, but the restaurant service, anyways. I just thought it was funny how they put the C word there in 3 of the asterisks. Like, I guess we knew what it was. So, anyways, it's just a silly news article. I couldn't even care less about it. But this I thought was very interesting. Florida woman sues. I'm just reading the comments are coming in. This is not right. I shouldn't have the comments on. A Florida woman sues for paternity test on goats. No kidding. And the only reason I posted this is because the stupid pun here in the article. Like, I just thought this was... If I was writing articles for a newspaper, this is what I would bring to the desk. This would be the headline I would bring to the desk, and they would probably just fire me right then and there. But this guy got through with this. No kidding. I don't know.
Is this a real piece of news?
This is real news. This is real news. The goat's owner seeks a DNA test for 5 goats because she reckons they were registered with the American Dairy Goat Association, and therefore they're going to be worth more. So she's trying to sell the goats probably, but she's saying, listen, I want more money. Is that your Mark? Is that your goat in the background?
That's my goat. I have goats here.
This one I really liked, and yes, Andrea, these are real stories here. Louisiana man faces charges for swimming in sporting goods store fish tank. So this guy, but no. He wasn't losing it. The suspect told reporters he plunged into an indoor aquarium at a Bass Pro Shop in Bossier City to celebrate getting 2,000 likes on TikTok.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, it kind of sums it all up.
Didn't we have the guy at the aquarium dive in naked not too long ago?
Mm-hmm. But why? I remember that.
But why did he do that? Why did he jump in?
Why did any of these
he got 50 likes or something.
50? Oh, he did it for likes?
I don't. Who knows?
I just
one.
say something really terrible on Facebook and I get like 100. They're not likes though. Insecure. Oh, this is a good one. This is our last news article. Insecure bride sacks 14-year-old sister as bridemaid for having huge boobs.
Oh.
A
My
14-year-old.
dad would like this one.
Yeah, that's your dad. So you gotta be careful picking your. You gotta be careful picking them. Yeah.
Oh,
How come John's not your best man anymore? Well, I gotta tell you, we were in the urinals the other day. So, anyways, that's our news, and we're gonna bring everybody in now. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's pretty obvious who everybody is. Does everybody know? Andrea even has her own name on her square, and it's spelt right.
Is it spelled right? I can't read properly.
It is, because when you told me, it was right before the show went on, and you told me, and I had to scramble to change it.
Oh!
Remember that?
Well,
Now,
you are
that's
forgiven.
okay. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So before we even start, I got to make that bigger. I got a little screen here going because Mark Costello says Andrea Ramolo. I can't even say it now. I'm so messed up.
Let's practice it. Repeat after me 3 times.
Ramolo. It sounds too
Ramolo.
easy. Ramolo
Rambo.
is an exceptional talent.
that
Very
was a
happy
nickname
that
of
she's on
mine,
the show
actually, I
tonight.
had
Oh,
as
really?
a waitress. As a waitress at the Outback Steakhouse when I was putting myself through university, they used to call me Rambo.
Because you kicked a lot of
Oh,
ass.
don't say that. Rambo was like one of my favorite movies. Now I'll never get it right.
Practice makes better, Mark. Practice makes
Yeah, Andrea, you draw first blood tonight. So, so before we get started, I got to show everybody these because this album here is incredible, folks. I got to talk into the microphone. This album right here, this is all of, well, it's a tribute to Mr. Cohen, Leonard Cohen, and you did a fantastic job on this. So if you like, first of all, if you like Leonard Cohen, you need this record in your collection.
And let's admire the wonderful photograph of one of my best friends, Jennifer Squires. Jen Squires. She's basically one of the main photographers in the city that captures musicians and
That's awesome.
does everything from tour posters to album covers.
I like
She's
this shot on the
fantastic.
back.
Yeah, she did that too.
It's
She does
almost
most of my album
ghosty.
covers.
It's almost a bit ghosty.
Nice. Shout out to her.
Shout out to Jen.
Haven't
Right.
even played a song yet, and the crowd's going crazy. But then I have this one too, and I love showing this because I love supporting our artists. And this album, that's Italian for nude, or is it naked?
Well, nude and naked mean the
Is
same
it-
thing, but yes, it means naked. It's a metaphor. I had to explain that to my father, even though I'm evidently naked on the cover. But
Is that a gatefold? Does it open up for more, or is it just... Sorry.
not for the
Mark,
word that you
Mark,
would
no.
for.
Buy it, Mark. Buy it.
Oh, I will buy it.
Buy it.
There's
Don't.
actually, if you buy the CD, it's actually Mark. You got gypped because the CD is a double album. So actually, Nuda was a double record, and it's Nuda, which is the main Michael Simmons production.
I stream
and
it.
then there's you stream Da Sola, so Da Sola
yeah.
means by myself, and it's the same songs, but they're done completely stripped down, sort of kitchen table vibe, solo, acoustic guitar, baritone guitar, and it's really, really intimate, and it's sort of like the demos before they were developed into the full songs. And actually, Michael Timmons was the one that heard the demos, and he's like, "Man, this is so good. What are we gonna do more with these songs? Why don't you put this out too?" So it was a really fun. Well, I wouldn't say it was a fun project. It was a creative project, but I was probably in the lowest, point in my life when I made it. So we won't talk about it as a fun thing, but it was definitely a very meaningful transitional work for me, for sure. I did love making it. In hindsight, it was like pretty intense and beautiful. So.
Well, when I first
Cool.
discovered your music, I was at a festival in Oshawa, and I think it was it was a year ago. It was probably actually right close to a year ago, and I went to do some filming for the festival, and you were there. I had never heard your music before, and you got up there and you did "You're Everywhere."
Yes.
And I was so blown away by that song. And we did put the video together for that song. And there's still some more stuff in the archives there I could pull out. But I just love that. It's a treat for me when I go and photograph something like that, and then you fall in love with someone's music. That's a big bonus. That's massive.
Well, I'm glad you were at the show then, because these little encounters happen, and then
that's what you got to do. You got to throw yourself out there. So, actually, Mark, shall we? Mark. Shall we quickly run through this week in music? Because when we were talking about this week in music, Andrea mentioned that it's Juno week as well.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Very nice.
Right.
Who knew?
Well, I didn't know.
Did you?
Well, I didn't. No, I didn't watch it, but I knew of it.
I don't know what's going on. I had no idea the Junos were on. That's how Canadian I am.
Well, was it on TV though? Was it on TV?
It was streaming on CBC, and then I think they streamed it as well on Facebook and a few other outlets. But I had a lot of really beautiful, powerful friends that were either hosts announcing the nominees and the winners, or people performing. And actually, I thought it was beautifully done. Like, I've been to a few Juno Awards ceremonies in real life, and I really enjoyed it. It was colorful and inclusive and like powerful. There were a lot of women, a lot of my female friends, which I just loved seeing. I thought it was really, really classy and very representative of the true, talent in the Canadian music scene. So yeah.
Cool.
And I think the whole streaming thing is getting better and better, but I think people are getting used to it now, and I think people are settling into it more. And I'm starting to really dig these private streamed concerts where you buy a ticket, you go in and see the concert, you basically end up in someone's living room, and it is such a personal, great show that you couldn't get at a club.
Mark?
Yes, we love you.
Did you lose me?
Now you're back. We lost you for a second.
All that beautiful stuff I said about streaming.
I love that you're talking about
Censored.
how amazing live streams are, and then you just cut out. Perfect timing, really.
How ironic.
No, what I was saying was those. I cut out again. Did I? Or my mic? I think maybe I don't know.
Is this thing on?
I think it is.
You're good.
But let's try this again. I was just saying, I think people are getting better at hosting the shows, and people are getting better at responding to them and going to them, buying the tickets.
Yeah, it's just I ran into my first publicist today. I was on a bike ride in Toronto, and I hadn't seen him. He just had his 86th birthday, Richard Flohill. Yeah, so he's been around forever, and he's the reason kind of why I got my first break. He was nice enough to let me take him to Flo's Diner for breakfast one morning back in 2007. He heard my first record, Thank You for the Ride, and he just, he gave it out to a few people, and I started booking shows and festivals, and that's how it kind of the trajectory started. But I ran into him today, and we were just talking about how it's never going to be the same. Like, a live show is a live show, and you can see the sweat glistening off of the singer's brows, or you can smell each other. Hopefully people have showered when they come to your shows, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a visceral experience, and there's a back and forth. There's a real communication that doesn't happen when we are speaking right now because we're all here, right? Mm-hmm. But we're missing that sort of visceral connection. And when you do a live show, it's beautiful because you feel that tension and that people want to be in the room with you and you want to be in the room with them. But there are just a few comments that are coming up in hearts and whatnot, and it's just like it's a different type of communication. There's a miss,
and there's no reaction.
Energy that's missing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right. Yeah, and you feed off that energy.
But I think my point was that people are starting to get something else out of it and making it I wouldn't say worthwhile, but I saw. Do you know Kennedy Road? Do you know Brian McMillan?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, they did a show, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Sherry Ulrich did one, and it was really good. And she's coming on. For those watching, she's going to be on our show in maybe 2-3 weeks. Sherry's coming on. So
Sherry Ulrich was one of the first people I ever opened for.
No
I feel like I was
way.
in Duncan, British Columbia. Yeah, I swear to God, I don't know if she'll remember, but she was with possibly her daughter on tour, if that rings a bell.
Yes.
And yeah, she was one of the first I opened for. Her
Julia.
and Steve Earle's sister, Stacey Earle at Hughes Room. Those were like two of my. It's nice. Yeah, I forgot about.
I'll have
Sherry.
to remember
I haven't
that.
seen her in years, but
Yeah, she's out in Bowen Island. Yep.
okay, cool.
I met her a few years ago up north at a concert in a house, one of those house concerts, those Rural Roots house concerts. So good. Really good.
Home Roots, yeah.
So,
Cool.
back to all the things you do. You were talking about your father, and I was going to dive in because you said about your father, because you've just put together in your spare time a 30-minute documentary that you made about your trip last year. I think it was last year, right? It was about a month after that
documentary.
festival. Well, you know what? It is a documentary. I've watched it. It's 30 minutes long, but it's so good. Like I've been to Italy twice, so I understand what it's like there. We've had a tour. We've seen some of the sites that my wife's family's from, and I think we did about 3,000 kilometers.
Where is she from?
She's from, her family is from Calabrese, which is south of where you were, because you were just east of Rome, I believe.
So I'm between, so Naples, Rome is, okay, so it's hard to say. Like, pretend you see, oh, here, look, I have a boot. How convenient. Okay. So here's a little child.
This was not planned.
Boot, right? And here's the boot, and Rome is here, right? Up here. Let's say Rome is here.
In
and
the middle
Naples
more.
is right below.
Yeah.
So my town is between Rome and Naples, but on the Adriatic side, about 40 minutes from the Adriatic Sea.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's central. It's south central, you know.
Have you thought about teaching geography in high school?
Definitely
Career
not.
change.
I'm
Pull out a
actually
boot.
horrible at geography and directions.
Is anyone else thinking of Coach from Cheers right now? Adriatic there.
Adriatic. Oh, that's
no,
great.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I recommend everybody go check this this documentary out, because it's very heartwarming. It's very cute, but it's very well done. It's sweet. Especially at the end, your parents are dancing. Your parents are dancing, and
They're the best. Really.
No,
they're like the epitome of love, and that's why I feel like I suffer so badly from failed relationships, because I have this iconic couple that I wish, that I could sort of follow in their footsteps, but it just doesn't work out for me that way. But they're honestly like two of the nicest people, and I'm so lucky to come from them. Like, I really, I might not be lucky in other things in life, but they are the gold in my life. And I just wanted to make this documentary. It's called it's called Back to Limosano. Limosano is our town in Molise, and it's a tiny little medieval hilltop village. It's been, it was taken over by the Nazis. My grandmother tells me stories of how they were forced to, make dinner for these soldiers who kind of took over. And one person in her town, they tried to hide their donkey because the soldiers were stealing all their cattle and their animals and their livestock, and he tried to hide the donkey by the river, and they shot him because he tried to hide the donkey. So they brought him out into the town, and he asked, if I could have one request, can I please just put on a nice suit before you shoot me? Like, can I die with some dignity? And they wouldn't let him do it. So his wife ended up, dressing him in this nice suit eventually after the soldiers left.
Oh.
But the town is it's just glorious. It's been hit by so many earthquakes, and it's pretty run down. So there's like that mix at the top of town of this sort of ghost town kind of feel, and like you're stuck in the Middle Ages, and then you go like in the middle of the town and it feels like you're stuck in the 50s and 60s. And then you go below and they're trying to modernize it, but still the vibe is very small town and very kind of time travel-esque, like you're going back in time. So I love it. I really feel very connected to it. I've been there a bunch of times, and I hope one day to like maybe own a little piece of land that I can just delve into the land a little bit more
And go
spend
and act in your own version of Under the Tuscan Sun. Remember that movie?
Under the Limosanese sun. Oh my God, my family would die. It's like, we call it Limos Angeles, like Los Angeles, because it's so funny that it's nothing close to anything that Los Angeles would be like.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember that movie Under the Tuscan Sun. So you could go and run off and find the man of your dreams and live in the... Oh,
yeah, it's a young hot Italian laborer.
A pool boy.
My pool boy.
I was talking to someone about pool boys the other day. So I can relate to all that, the old family stuff.
Right. You can relate to all that. You're the pool boy. I don't have a pool,
come up in a
You don't need I don't think you need technically you don't need a pool to have a pool boy, do you? You buy one of those Canadian Tire things, fill it up.
You probably want to call him something else. Oh yeah, you can have a blow up. Yeah.
A blow up boy. A blow up boy.
About, right?
Oh, a blow up pool.
Oh, hey, oh.
Holy jeez. Back to the weird news.
They actually don't say AOOA in Italy. That's a sort of a stereotypical North American TV slang.
That's the Tony Danza thing to say, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So one thing we usually do on the show, though we got to get back to Mark's news because we need the news. But we usually make a smoothie. We usually make
the smoothies.
We're gonna make an Andrea smoothie. Well, this one was tough for me because I've only known your music for about a year. So what we do is we take musical influences and we put them in a blender and we get you. So what would we put?
Interesting. That's kind of fun. That's a very creative.
So what would
I'd like to see this movie.
Okay, here we go. Well, it's kind of based on your music, and I'm still discovering more about your other music, and we can touch into some of your influences because definitely a main part ingredient of this smoothie would be Leonard Cohen, and we can talk about why there's a big chunk of Leonard Cohen in there because you must be influenced by Leonard Cohen if you put out an album of all Leonard Cohen songs. And listening to your music, the Michael Timmons influence is there, but he did produce it. So that's kind of is it influenced by Michael Timmons or not? I don't know, but I would put some in there if I wanted to listen to your music, or something like your music. It would be Michael Timmons, which is kind of very cowboy junky sound as well. And the Skydiggers, believe it or not. I got the Skydiggers in there, and I got Neil Young.
Ooh.
And I got Neil Young in there. And I got Neil Young because your lyrics kind of, for me, they are the reason I put the next comment. The drink would be more tart than sweet because that has you wanting another glass of it. So it's not your music is kind of, it's got that, and only, I think because maybe your music's like the rhubarb that I like. You know what I mean? It's got that tart. No, it's got that tart
I get it.
and it draws you in.
It's almost like it's bittersweet. Could you say that?
You could say bittersweet.
There are elements of hope or elements of sweetness in some of the sounds, but I know what you're saying. It's like, it's pretty like honest and candid, right? And in being so, then, you know, it's kind of sometimes nasty, sometimes a little bit like unveiling and revealing, and that's not always sweet and pretty, right?
Yeah, I think one way to describe it is the kind, like Neil, the reason I put Neil Young there is I find your music, especially with some of the guitar work on it, you don't know where it's going, but you know it's going to turn out awesome. Like, it's not predictable. It's not predictable. And there's a lot of music out there that's predictable. I don't necessarily find your music predictable, so when I'm listening to it, it's like, okay. And even when you've listened to it again and again, I find that you're in for a pleasant surprise all the time. So that's kind of why I put Neil Young in there. Neil Young's a master at that. Mm-hmm. He keeps you hanging.
I wish there was a woman on the list, but I do love every single artist you listed. Like, love. Like, they're in probably, like, for sure in my top, let's say top 15, because I like a lot
Yeah, it was really hard, and I think a lot of times when I do this, I'm trying to find the sounds that are in your music, and I think it's kind of because it was so tough. I think it leads, and I hate saying this because some other people it's so easy to make a list, but I'm finding that making a list of your music was hard, like your influences, because that's good. 'Cause it's all
like
you.
that.
Yeah, take that. But
I like that.
what girls influenced you?
With girls. Well, I mean, the thing is, and I say this a lot in interviews, I'm not a person that, like, I can't tell you the name of every record and every track on a record. And do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have that sort of collecting data sort of brain. I grew up as a dancer. And so as a young person, like, my mom put me into dance before my 4th birthday. So as a dancer, tap dance was one of my favorite forms of dance that I excelled at. So we were tap dancing to jazz music, old jazz standards, jazz show tunes. We were dancing lyrical and modern dance to like spirituals, gospel songs, and sometimes country pop, folk. There was classical with the ballet. I mean. And then there was funk and R&B and soul when we were doing jazz dancing and hip hop. So, and then I became a Latin dancer and I was in a Latin dance company. So I have all these. I love rumba. I love Cuban music, Afrobeat. Like I just have an eclectic appreciation for music. I mean, I would say that Nina Simone, Lucinda Williams. I can't even. PJ Harvey. Like there's such a mix of artists and female artists especially. I love listening to male artists, but I've always, in the 90s, I was an Alanis fan. I was like a young teenager. I remember maybe I was like 12 or something, 12 years old, 13, and Jagged Little Pill came on, and I used to rock out to that. Janis Joplin, she was one of the main reasons I wanted to become a singer. When I was 12 or 13, I found a cassette tape at a cottage that we went to, and I just played it off the hook, and I started like belting out, and Bobby McGee was one of the first songs I learned. So I think it's just like there's no one person or a small collection. It's really like I'm kind of like a chameleon or a sponge. I really love what I love. If it moves me, either my body or my soul or my heart and my emotional life, then it moves me, and then I take to it, and it'll influence me in some way. So it'll probably find itself in the way that I communicate outward through my songs, right?
So speaking about Chameleon, is that song Chameleon about you?
So it wasn't initially, but then sometimes you look back at your music and, you can definitely find yourself reflected in it as well.
So
yeah.
Subconsciously written. That's like when you write a song and then you listen to it back later and you say, oh my God, I wrote this about me. Or something.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Mark, you got... Well, actually...
coming out.
Why don't we quickly run through your news articles or your This Week in Music, since you didn't cover the Junos? We're gonna have to start paying. Paying you to cover the music events. We'll have to send you on a private jet, but you can't right now because they're not flying.
Okay. That's okay.
So what do you got for us?
Well, we got This Week in Music.
This Week in Music.
We don't have a whole lot, actually. I wanted to keep it short. There was one major event that did happen this week in 2016, and that was the debate that's been going on since, 1967. A U.S. judge concluded that Led Zeppelin did not copy the opening chords of Stairway to Heaven from the song Taurus by the U.S. band Spirit. I don't know if the debate continues or if that's been put to rest, but we've all heard it.
They stole it.
You think they stole it? So we know Stairway to Heaven.
I've listened to them both.
And we know Taurus.
We're going to sit and listen to Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven for 7 minutes?
You guys be the judge. I don't know.
You know what? There's something a bit different about it, though. There's like a note or two that in the progression that is different.
It is a very, very common chord progression, and that's what the defense lawyers worked on. They argued the chord progression in question is very common, and it's been in use for more than
It's true.
300 years, and that was their
I
strong defense.
But I
and
think that it could have influenced them enough, and they made it. It influenced them to the point where they made it so close. Because when I listen to the guitar solo at Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven at the end, all I hear is All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. But again, that's his guitar solo and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I got to
right.
stop you for a second because this is how I get messed up, Andrea. Watch this comment come up on the screen. See who this comment is by?
Feed is frozen. That's my mom,
What's with her name?
Joanne Ramolo.
That's an O.
No, Ramolo. Wait, how did you spell my name? Oh, you did it
I
wrong.
had it right to start with.
Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, I'm not close enough to
Oh,
read. Yeah,
so
you effed it
you
up.
told me
You
I
effed
had
it
it
up.
wrong. Oh, this. Hold on a minute.
It's Ramolo.
That's how
It's
I've been.
really easy to find. You could just probably try
That's
and
how.
Google it. And
You know what?
look it up.
I feel really good because that's how I've been spelling it the whole time, and I thought you said I had it wrong. I just corrected it.
So
But
you're spelling it right, Ken, but you're
that's what
saying
I-
it wrong. There's
That's what's happening.
Discrepancy there. Yeah.
And this time, you know what I did? I put a capital O after the M. So I
Yeah, but no. but you
Ramolo.
don't accentuate it.
Ramolo.
Ramolo. Yeah.
Ramolo.
Ramolo. You say.
Oh, my God.
Is the feed still frozen for my mom? My poor
It's-
mom. She's like
your
my only
mom's
fan trying to tune in here.
your mom's
Give her,
frozen.
and
Your
I'm
mom's frozen.
feed. Okay.
Your
Is it
mom's
frozen
your
for anybody else?
No,
Can
it's
anybody
not.
hear
No,
us?
Mark-
Or maybe it's just us. We're not
Mark
talking to anybody,
Costello
we're
said
just-
it's not. But
Okay.
I can't see your comments, everybody. So if you want to share something specifically with me, tell Mark to share it. There you go.
there's one. Someone said your music is reminiscent of John Lennon.
Wow. Just,
Wow.
Wow.
Huge
Add some
names.
John Lennon into the smoothie.
Yeah.
Raw emotion. I like
It's
that.
going to be a big smoothie. There's lots of good carbs in this
Very
one.
nutritious. Very nutritious.
Very nutritious.
Oh, I can
So
get a
is
lot
that
out of
so?
one.
Okay, so we could have played the Led Zeppelin by the time I figured out how to spell your name.
We could have played the entire song.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
But we didn't. So anyway, in honor of Canada Day tomorrow, I decided, not to go with too much other music stuff. I did some more Canadian type stuff, not necessarily, this week in history or anything, but I did find some interesting facts that some I didn't know and some you may not know.
Oh my god.
And one I found was the term Beatlemania. That term was coined by a Canadian. Sandy Gardner, a writer for the Ottawa Journal, used it to describe the behavior of the band's fan base in an article way back in 1963, which was interesting. And I also found that there are, a bunch of famous musicians and actors who you may or may not know are Canadian. The first one I came across was Tommy Chong of Cheech and Chong, was
No
born
way.
in Edmonton, Alberta.
Didn't know that.
You didn't know?
Yeah.
I actually,
I did not know that either.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Actor Corey Haim. Do you remember Corey Haim?
Yes, I knew
Yes.
he was Canadian.
I
I
did
don't
not
think
know
I-
he was Canadian.
no.
I had a-
Him and Corey Feldman, the two Corys back in the
Corys.
day.
Used to love them.
He was born in Toronto. I did not know that. Let's see who else we have here. Phil Hartman of SNL fame is Canadian.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see. Norm Macdonald, also SNL alumni. He was born in Quebec City. Actress Rachel McAdams was born in London, Ontario.
She went to my university.
Oh, I
was
didn't
a
know that.
year- Yeah, she was a year ahead of me in theater, and once I saw her at the Naked Lady Water Spa in Toronto, but she was wearing a bikini.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a
at
naked lady
first,
slide.
At first, I came across this one, Rick Moranis, and I thought, I immediately think of Rick Moranis. I think of Ghostbusters, and I think of Honey, I Shrunk the
Honey, I
Kids.
Shrunk the Kids. Yeah.
And then I thought, for crying out loud, The Great White North. How could I not know? And ultimately, I guess I did know. Now,
Take off.
take off, eh? Let's see here.
That's
Oh,
before Andrea's time.
everybody knows this except for one person on this show. Gino Vanelli
I didn't know. I didn't
He's
know he was
Canadian.
Canadian.
Yes.
That's
Gino
hilarious.
Sorry, Gino.
Yeah.
My fellow paisan.
Gino, if you're watching.
Mark,
No.
get Bill to tell you all about the Gino Vanelli stories.
Oh, yeah?
He's got millions of them. Oh, yeah.
Let's see here. Leslie Nielsen, famous Leslie Nielsen, born in Regina, Saskatchewan.
What's your vector, Victor?
What's your vector, Victor? Of course. Airplane fame. Now, here's an interesting thing. Actor Alan Thicke. Who remembers Alan Thicke?
Yes.
Born in Kirkland Lake, Ontario.
Ooh.
Known for his acting, and he also had a talk show. But what's lesser known about him is he was a musician. Unlike his son. His son is Robin Thicke now, is a popular musician. But Alan Thicke back in the day did a lot of songwriting for TV shows. He did the original theme song for Wheel of Fortune.
Ooh.
Did you know that?
Wow.
Nope.
He also went on to do this one. Remember this?
Facts of
The
life.
Oh, the
my
Facts of
God,
Life.
The Facts of Life. Yes, and that also, let's see what else we have here, if I can find it. And then he went on to do this one. Who remembers this one?
I do.
He's also singing this one.
Get out of here.
Yes, he is. Yep, he wrote and is singing.
Wow.
Different strokes.
Different strokes, yes.
He must have a pretty good bank account.
Well, he's dead now, so he
But
did have
well,
a pretty
someone still has a good bank account because
Somebody took over his bank.
someone took over it. I didn't take over his bank account.
Speaking of different strokes,
Talking about Dad.
what you talking about, Dad?
What you talking about, Dad?
Mr. Drummond from Different Strokes. Conrad Bain was born in Lethbridge, Alberta. Canadian. Who knew? I didn't know.
Must have been a
Yeah,
friend of
that's
Alan's.
done me. So there we go. Mr. Drummond, Canadian. And we have one more. Mark Robinson, not Canadian. Not born in Canada.
Nope. You're an imposter. No.
He is an imposter this week.
Yeah,
So
but
that is it for
when I
this
tell
week
everyone
in-
I'm an immigrant, when I'm having a debate on immigrants and
this
it gets
country
heated.
was built on, lots of things, and one of the later things was immigration. So
Yeah.
you're welcome here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on your show.
I have the monopoly on
Comedy,
But
chords,
like you
chaos.
said before,
The
I
C
don't
is
know if
for
you said this
Canadian.
live or not, but it's your culture that defines you, not. where
That's
you're
what we
born.
said. That yeah.
Yes, earlier that's what we
Culture
said.
is always ever shifting and growing and changing and evolving as it should, because we don't want to be dinosaurs stuck in.
Stagnant.
Yeah,
And
that we did bad things back then, and we don't need to continue those. So
No.
it's important. Yeah.
When I came to Canada, the first thing I got off the plane, I had broken my tooth the day before in England,
beef.
and I had a double cap put on my teeth. I think we talked about this last week, and a double cap put on my teeth, and the first thing the kids called me at school was beaver. I was the beaver when I didn't even know what beaver meant. It was terrible.
Oh, they don't have beavers in
I was
England?
bullied. No beavers in England. No.
Nice beaver.
Such a hard-working animal. We should.
We
be proud.
can't
I
we can't
know.
talk about Canada.
They're
without
rodents.
Talking about
They're
the
rodents.
beaver.
They're like a rat, aren't they? They're
No,
Water rat.
they're
They're
beautiful.
water rat with
They're-
big tail.
They're
Yeah.
sculptors, beavers.
well,
Okay.
yeah.
Get with it. Get with it.
Now we're getting all maple
They're
Hail
syrupy.
the beaver.
Now we're getting all maple syrupy and pancakes and French toast and all
You know
that.
what animal I don't like though? That's flying outside of my window. A bat. I can see it. It's circulating, and it's been out there for like 3 nights now, and I don't know what it's doing. But I hope that if I go outside, it doesn't fly.
I hope
right
it's
into
I
my
hope it's
head.
not from the market. That's what I hope it's not from the market. Careful.
Yeah.
Don't let it bite you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So where do
Always
we
that.
go from here? What do we gonna play a song, I think? Because you got that
Yes.
guitar sitting there
Let's
and it's
get to
nice and
some music.
shiny. Let's play some songs.
Yes, I have a guitar. I was gonna play a couple songs
Play
tonight.
whatever you
Maybe
like.
I'll start with the Italian song, just so that I can completely
Oh.
isolate all of you, because you don't understand. I'm just joking. I'm certain that probably many people that are tuned in might not understand, but I wanted to talk about this song because it's my most recent release, and I wrote it during the pandemic just a few months ago, right at the start, when sort of we still didn't know what was going on. We were all in that state of shock and thinking that the world was going to end. And it actually hit Italy second and really, really hard. And because I have a lot of friends and family there, you know, and even just the culture that defines Italians, it's really like an outside in piazza social culture. And for them to all be like locked up and hanging off their balconies, it was such a sight to see. And so one night, a dear friend who treats me like a little sister, I always get to stay with her in Rome when I go there. Her mother passed away from the virus, and she wasn't obviously able to say goodbye to her mother. Her mother was down south in a care facility, and you know, there was no goodbyes, and there was no even just paying respects at a funeral. And I just thought of my friend stuck in her apartment. She's a widow and she lives alone, mourning the loss of her mother. And it was just like horrific, the feeling. I couldn't even imagine myself in that scenario. So anyways, I wrote this song, and it's called Una lettera, which translates to a letter. It's basically a love letter to the people of Italy during this time. But again, like we talked about with that other song, Chameleon, when you look back in retrospect, this song now, for me, just based on the shifts and evolutions that are happening with Black Lives Matters and with the injustices that are continuing to be perpetuated, this song is about love. It's the chorus is L'amore può salvarci, which means love. Basically, only love can save us. It will save us. It can save us. And it's all about how we feel separated from each other, but that this love is going to get us through. So that's like a simplified version of it. But if people go to Bandcamp, they can get the song on there, and then there's actually the translation of the Italian lyrics into English if they want to sort of go a little bit deeper into what the song is about.
Yes,
So,
go buy it. Go buy it because it's awesome.
Okay.
Okay, all
I'm going
yours.
to translate now in sign language.
Do you want to do that while I play? Okay. All right. So this is called Una lettera. Let me just take off an earphone because I can't really hear. Sto pensando a voi, senza l'aria, senza la libertà, e tra di noi c'è il mare fatto di una lacrima che condividiamo, come la melodia che cresce piano piano. In questa guerra inaspettata, solo fantasmi stanno sulle strade vacanti. I nostri scompaiono senza un saluto o una preghiera, un bacio da Dio, almeno da Dio. Abbiamo dato per scontate notti stellate, migliorerà e passerà tramonto, alba, l'amore può salvarci. Ricorderemo ciascuna estate, il sole sulla sabbia, l'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. Sto pensando a noi, la nostra forza e la volontà di fare un passo indietro per andare avanti, per semplificare, per mostrare al mondo come possiamo amare, come possiamo amare. Abbiamo dato per scontate notti stellari, Ricorderemo ciascuna estate il sole sulla sabbia. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. Questa volta noi dobbiamo cambiare, migliorerà e passerà tramonto, alba, l'amore può salvarci. Ricorderemo ciascuna estate il sole sulla sabbia. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci. L'amore può, l'amore può, l'amore può salvarci.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow.
That
Beautiful.
has to be probably, I would say, probably my favorite song so far this year.
Really?
Honestly.
absolutely
Honestly.
amazing.
I love that you feel that. And
That's honest.
It's
That's not 'cause
about
you're
English
here.
then. That's
Because when I think that's when I finally, because when we started doing this show, we were supposed to do this last year. And I'll tell you, it's a good little story. We started doing this show last year. It was November. And then we were going to do this as a live show. So we were going to have artists come play, and we were going to talk to them just like a talk show, but they were going to get up to a set or something. People would have drinks, but they would sit and listen to the artist. That was the whole thing. Small venue. But then we got busy and it went away. Then we decided to do it like this. Then I was following you on Facebook, and I remember probably when COVID struck, you were pretty down about the whole thing because you knew you were going to change your schedule around. All your playing was thrown right out the window. But then I saw you kind of evolve, and you said, okay, well, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm just going to go for it. And you ended up writing this song. You put the video out, which is beautiful because I think you collected all kinds of video clips. And then you had your cooking channel going on Instagram. And you kind of, I think I don't know how many people were following it, but for musicians, I think you're an inspiration to how to get through this. No, seriously.
That's nice. Thanks. To be honest, there was no plan of doing any work really, and I mentioned to you fellas earlier that like to compensate and to pay my rent, I substitute teach high school. So, the last little while, besides these few tours I had coming up that needed to be canceled, one of them being overseas in Italy this summer, I've been spending a lot of my time trying to pay my rent. And as an artist living in a very expensive city like Toronto, as many of my friends know out there, and as many of, you don't have to be an artist to know that it's really, really tough to survive in a city. And when you're on an artist's income, it's even more challenging. So that work stopped because we couldn't teach, because we couldn't go to school. And for me, the initial stages, right, were actually like beyond being like completely tormented and traumatized like the rest of the world regarding this pandemic. It was like a blessing in disguise because it carved out some time for me to allow myself to get creative again. And what happened was, like, I don't write songs like honestly, I don't just write songs. Like, I open my journal every day and I write, which is what I should be doing, but I'm not that disciplined of an artist. I really write when I have to write. And just like You're Everywhere, and Una Lettera, and Thank You for the Ride, which is the first single off my first ever debut album, those three songs I wrote in about 10-15 minutes. And I've never in my life, I don't do that like this. It's rare, but I know that when that happens, there was something inside of me that I really needed to say and communicate, and I wanted to share it with the world fast. Like, and it makes sense for this Una Letra song because it had to do with a very specific happening that was, transpiring in our world. So yeah, I really love, I do like the song. Like, it's weird to say, but it's one of the songs that I enjoy singing every single time. I like the melody, and I like that people don't even know what I'm saying because they don't speak the language, but I can feel that they're connecting to it. So there's something in the message that is kind of, I guess, being portrayed just with the music, which is interesting. I don't know what that is, but it's, it works. I like it.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is as long as it works, right?
I printed the lyrics out both in Italian and English, and I might even have mentioned this in one of your posts. And I put the English below the Italian, and I figured I tried this before to learn Italian, and I'm an idiot, so I can't learn anything. But I tried, and I think, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the song, and I'm going to listen to it because I love listening to it. And while I'm listening to it, I'm going to figure it out. So I have picked up some of the words. So you're now my Italian teacher.
Do you want to perform some for us, Mark?
Absolutely not.
Actually, I have a beautiful friend, Rochelle, who's not Italian at all, but she loves she went to Sicily for her honeymoon a few years back, and she just bought a home in Sicily, and of course she had to come back to Canada because of the pandemic, but she learned like every single word to that song because she's studying Italian. She wants to learn it, and she sang it to me the other night, and I just about bawled my eyes out. She was so cute, like just really well done, and she memorized every single word of the song. So it is,
now I have to sing
that's
it. I
how
won't
we can
sing it
learn
now.
languages through music. Why not?
Well, I would run it by my wife, and I said, "Is this right? Is this right?" She's going, "Yeah," because of the dialect and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was getting there, but then I got to keep at it, and I got so busy with work, so
Yeah.
We're going to test
I'll
you.
come back to it. Yeah, we'll have a test next year.
We'll
next
test
year.
you.
Next year. So, man, you've done so much stuff. So Scarlet Jane, what's the deal? When you started that
Sorry,
back?
you cut out there.
Oh, Scarlet Jane, you started back. 2008 When did you start?
No.
That's when you started playing.
Yeah, so I released my first album in 2008, and then my second, I think, in 2011. And then we started the band Scarlet Jane, which is actually no longer active. But we actually put out, it's funny, during COVID, we put out an old single that had never been released to Spotify. So we released it because we found it in our archives. It was something fun to do to, just say, hey, here's some old music, enjoy. People are stuck at home and music is helpful, right? So we started that band in 2012, and we released 2 records together, Stranger, and then our self-titled second sophomore album. And we released those under Warner Music Canada, and we toured since I started in 2008, I was touring incessantly. Like I used to live in my van for 3 years with my one-man band, and he built a bunk bed, and we basically lived across Canada and the US for 3 years, and lived inside the van. There were days would go by when I wouldn't shower. It was horrible but beautiful at the same time. And we're in the Yukon. We got to see, Wolverines and Grizzlies and Bison, and the top of the world highway in Dawson City. I learned about this country, and I fell in love with Canada those first few formative years of hitting the road. And then with Scarlet Jane, it was a bit more of a manicured kind of tour. I mean, we still played similar gigs, but we played some really nice concert halls and larger venues and big festivals, like many of the major Canadian folk festivals. And then we decided to put the brakes on for that, and we both went back to our solo careers. And that's when I teamed up with Michael Timmins and did Nuda, because I had met Timmins. I met Michael when I was recording with Lee Harvey Osmond. So Tom Wilson and I dated for just under 2 years, and we traveled together and made music and wrote songs. It was really, really romantic and wonderful. And so I sang on his album Beautiful Scars when we were together. And actually, Nuda became a response to our breakup. So that was the response to the breakup of our relationship, and then the breakup of Scarlet Jane, and then just sort of the this metamorphosis between like shedding all my old skin and trying to figure out like who I was as a woman by myself, who I wanted to be as an artist, as a human, and without any attachments, without anyone else. I wanted to just know, who I was and to find my inner strength alone. And that's why Da Sola, which means by myself, is a really nice companion album to Nuda. And and then it went from there. And then I teamed up with Michael like a year later. I couldn't even believe I was not even going to do another record, but actually 2 years later. But then I went through another breakup, and so I thought, hey, this is a trend. I should continue with this sort of, I write through pain a lot, but I think that a lot of people listen to music when they're experiencing hardships. And so why not write it from there? Because then the people experiencing hardships really can connect on a deeper level, and it helps to get us through and to realize that we are not alone in this world. We all have these two things in common. We love and we lose, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the dance between those two that keeps us going, I think.
But I think it's like the news. Like, good news stories don't appeal to the people like bad news stories. And I remember Jim Cuddy said, someone asked him, a lot of your songs are sad or relationship songs. And he says, well, it's easy to write a sad song. It's hard to write a happy song. It's like,
hard.
where do you go with it? Like, everything's great. That's it, done. But when you talk about breakups, there's so many avenues to go down.
Well, because there's no in the happy song, I mean, it's like an elation of joy. There's no transformative sort of process. My father's, he's probably listening right now, but he's so funny. Every time I play them a new piece of music or whatnot, he's always so grumpy. He's like, when are you ever going to write about like rainbows and blue skies? And I'm like, Dad, that's not my job here on this planet. Like, that's not what my work is all about. But he's just so funny. He wants to hear happy stuff. And I'm like, this is what I got. This is my life. And this is how I filter, life and life experience.
That's what happens when they first do their first documentary, they change. Tell him that.
Because now he's a big star.
And tell your dad I did hear him swear in that documentary, by the way. Uh-oh. I did catch that. What kind of man is this? What kind of father does she have?
I know. My mom's more of a behind-the-scenes woman. I mean, she's literally the backbone and the heart and soul of our family. She makes everything function. But my dad is just like, he should have been a performer himself. He's actually, my mom's a beautiful singer, but my dad, he can play, like, he plays the accordion, he plays guitar, he plays harmonica, he plays keyboard by ear. Like, his rhythm needs a little bit of work, but he's actually quite naturally talented. So maybe we should start, a family band.
Well, tell him I put a CD out, and we did a lot of stuff, and I can't play rhythm either. So there's hope.
There's hope for me. Yeah.
But no, honestly, that documentary showed what a beautiful family you have. It was great.
Thank you.
I felt connected. I felt like a lost cousin or something.
Hey, you probably are. You never know.
You are.
I did my 23andMe. I did my 23andMe. I'm Northern European, so maybe. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead
as well, and I found out that I'm 90. Well, it changed, right? So I don't believe in this stuff, anyways. But I was excited at first. I'm 93% Italian and 7% Greek.
That could be right.
That.
Well, I think it is pretty close. It's pretty accurate.
Who knows?
Okay, so you're gonna play us one more, and then we'll close it up because it's getting late. It's almost past my bedtime.
Oh yes. Okay.
You're a rock star. I don't want to keep you here all night. I could talk all night about this. You're an incredible.
I wouldn't say I'm a rock star. I would say that I'm unemployed right now, so I can sleep until noon tomorrow. But you can't.
Happy on that note. Happy Canada Day.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed. Okay, so I'm going to give you your screen back.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to, I want to try, hold on, I'm just going to do this. I want to try a new song. This is a song that I co-wrote with my friends in Madison Violet. They're a great Canadian female duo. I got to open for them on tour a bunch, and we wrote this during COVID, during this pandemic just a few months ago. And I have to see if I remember how it goes, but this one's called The End of Time, and it's about the longing that we have to be held during this time especially for isolating alone, without friends, without lovers, without family, and how we just long to be held, and we miss those that we care about. So. Somewhere uptown, my friends are all cooped up like me. Most nights I'm wasting time to set me free. It's getting lonely in this hideout. Would you recognize these lines upon my face? And I will see you once it's over. We'll find comfort in the quiet of it all. I will let you hold me till the end of time. Close signs hang low now from the windows on Queen Street. But listen closely, you can hear the ocean breathe. I've been missing real connection, but the stars are brighter now and summer's on its way. I will see you once it's over. We'll find solace in the silence of it all. I will let you hold me till the end of time. If you could hold me, would you hold me? I wish you'd hold me now. If you could hold me, would you hold me? I wish you'd hold me now. I will see you once it's over. We'll make music in the madness of it all. We'll come out of this much stronger. I will let you hold me till the end of let you hold me till the end of I will let you hold me till the end of time.
Wow.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank
Absolutely
you.
amazing.
And we have a bootleg copy of it now, so I'm gonna start printing CDs in the morning.
Well, don't print that one because it wasn't fully correct, but it was good practice. Good
It's
practice,
unique.
you boys.
Oh, that
thank
was
you.
so good.
It's worth money.
You know, we didn't even get into the whole Leonard Cohen inspiration. How you got into that quickly? How did you get into the Leonard Cohen homage album?
Well, I always loved Cohen as a writer. Like as an academic in university, I used to read his novels and poetry, and of course his songs. You know, Alleluia. I learned when I was in the choir as a good Catholic schoolgirl that I used to be. That was a joke, but anyways,
I got it.
you know, Scarlett Jane. We were lucky enough. Our manager Jake Gold at the time, he was working with. Oh, be nice. He was working with Adam Cohen, Leonard's son, and so we got hired to be sort of like the Webb sisters were for Leonard. And we got to play with the Montreal Symphony Orchestra at Place des Arts in Montreal. It was incredible. There was an 80-piece orchestra. We were wearing ball gowns. Like, we cried as we walked out on stage. It was just acoustic, and you could hear a pin drop. And so we got to live at Leonard's house for a bunch of weeks to prepare that. And we just got really close to the family. And I'd never met Leonard myself. But one day I was doing a tribute concert to The Last Waltz, the 40th anniversary of the band's The Last Waltz in Montreal. And Leonard had just died 2 weeks before, so I passed by the house to pay my respects. And then we did this show, and myself and Gavin Gardner from The Wooden Sky, an awesome band out of Toronto. If you don't know them, you should check them out. They're so rock and roll. They're so awesome. Good. They were on that tribute show as well with me. And me and Gavin, we sang Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye, which I'd never sung before. And it was just so powerful, and the song was so beautiful and so simple and poignant that I started covering it on tour. It would close every single one of my shows, and then so people started asking me, hey, where can we buy this? Where can we get this version? And then someone asked me, hey, would you come back and do an entire night of Leonard Cohen covers? I love your Hey, That's No Way to Say Goodbye. And that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, I would love to do a project where I attempt to not adapt, but try to make these gorgeous pieces of writing my own. And that's what we did. So, yeah.
And I think what shows that it's a real soulful, serious record was the fact that Hallelujah is not on there.
Yeah, no, that's been done a gazillion
That's exactly
times.
it.
Nobody needs to hear another version of that.
Exactly. That's what I'm just saying. I listened to it, so I'm digging into Leonard Cohen songs deeper now because of you. And as you
what song I would have put on it that I really wanted to, but I didn't because Lana Del Rey had done a really cool version, was one of the first songs also that I ever covered on tour was Chelsea Hotel in like 2008. I started covering that. And I play that song live at shows, but it was one of the ones I was bummed that I was like, it's just been done recently, and it's such a great version. Let's leave that version there in that modern repertoire, of covers, and so I didn't include it.
The only other thing I can think of to say is because of your cooking, and do you find Anthony Bourdain is the Leonard Cohen of cooking? Does that make sense to you guys? Because he looks like him. I just no.
You know what? There's a resemblance.
And the cigarette, and I wonder if he's actually in the back of his mind he thought that, hey, maybe I'm this Leonard Cohen guy going around cooking, but.
He was somewhat poetic in his cooking work, I'm sure. I don't know enough about him.
I don't. Well, I don't either. I'm actually not I don't watch his shows, but I always. Anytime I come across him, I get this little thing in the side of my head. Maybe it's because he does look like him a little bit, maybe. But
he does. I agree.
Well,
I'll give you that.
Oh, thanks. She's so sweet. Well, anyways, it's been an honor to have you on the show. I love your music.
Yes,
I'm a true fan. So we will.
A true Andrea Ramolo.
Oh,
he can't spell it and he can't say
I can just see my Facebook
can't be a
page
true
tomorrow.
fan if you can't say my name. No.
Well,
Thank you very much.
I can't
Thanks for
believe
having me.
I gained a whole bunch of weight stressing over my cortisol because I had got it wrong there 5 minutes before the show started, but I hadn't spelled it. Anyways, it's been fantastic. We're going to let you go. We so appreciate you doing this. And all you people watching for the rest of the week, this show will be going out there. It's out there now, but it will continue going out there. Thank you so much, Andrea Ramolo.
Thank you, guys.
And for everyone, see you next week. We have Callista Wilson on the show, so we'll see you. And we're going to get out of here right now. See you.